Stock tip. Best stock setups.
Welcome back to the latest episode of Stock Tip Daily Update with me, Marcel Dodia. How did the markets perform today? Well, after a lazy Monday came a Power Tuesday. As you can see, the markets managed to end in the green today. The S&P 500 managed an astonishingly plus 1.6%, the Nasdaq plus 2.2%, and the IVM, respectively, Russell's here, and plus 2%. This overall a very nice gain today, and the S&P 500 looks strong for the first time in a long time now, in about 3 weeks or so, and that is a reason to celebrate, but we don't want to celebrate too early. There is no telling if this breakout is going to hold. We first need a confirmation of the breakout, and that would mean we need a closing price above today's high. If tomorrow or the day after tomorrow we are going to get this closing price above today's high, then we could speak of a confirmed breakout and we could start a bit of celebration. But I think today might just be too early. So have a bit of patience, and if you do decide to celebrate in advance, like going for a swing or two, be my guest. I also tried to trade a bit aggressively today. I will talk to you about it in a moment or so. But the right thing to do would be to wait for the confirmation and then go crazy again. Well, this is the S&P 500. In the weekly chart, looks a bit better in the weekly chart as of now, as of today. This looks like a small bullish engulfing here, or is developing and looking like a bullish engulfing, which would make for a nice start to the week. The Nasdaq in the daily chart doesn't look that impressive. Also in the weekly chart, it also looks pretty weak. We are nearer to the bottom than we are to the top. But who knows what is going to happen? Perhaps if the S&P 500 is turning up again, then the Nasdaq and the Russell is going to follow suit. We just have to wait and see. Then the IVM, pretty much the same story here. It still looks pretty bit up. We also have to have our patient tested again and see if the S&P 500 is going to pull all of the markets with it. The DAX has also had a nice day, but we are still beneath this resistance line, and the trend is still looking like a down one, so still like a downtrend here. The question is, are we going to change the trend anytime soon? If in order to change the trend, we need a higher low and a higher high. So we have a high, a low, a lower high. And this is the question: is this going to be a higher low followed by a higher high, or is this just a small pullback on our way down? Well, again, we just have to wait and see what's going to happen. But we can first speak of a trend change when we also get a higher high. So if we get a higher high, then we definitely have a trend change on our hands. Euro to US dollar pretty much plus minus zero, so we didn't see much happening today, and we are still heading down towards 1.06. Oil was one of the weaker sectors today, but also gold. So oil has seen some losses today, minus 4%. And again, this is one of the reasons I recommend trading oil and precious metals in the weekly time frame in order to avoid such a nasty gap. So if you have a bigger position based on a daily time frame, then you're pretty much screwed by this hefty gap here. Your losses can't be counted. On the other, take a look at gold. Same story here. On the other hand, if you opt for a weekly time frame, you can see you're still in the green. So this was the breakout. The breakout still needs to be confirmed. It isn't confirmed, but the logical stop would come here in oil, and in gold the logical stop would come either here at 180, 180.5, or a bit lower, 176 or so. With that in mind, you should always opt for the weekly time frame when trading oil and gold here, except when you're trading individual stocks from these sectors. Silver also performed badly today, minus 2.6%, but it was minus 2.6%, but it was to be expected, seeing how silver pretty much mimics the movements in gold for the last couple of months. That's all for the sectors. Now to my portfolio. How is my portfolio faring? So I've decided to buy Apple again, to have another go at Apple. Well, I've talked about it yesterday, and I've seen this as a low. And I've also said yesterday, if we were going to get at any time today, if we were going to go above yesterday's high, this would make for a possible entry, a very aggressive entry, and this is pretty much what I did. In 166.4, I think I went for it. I don't know where this is. 166.4. Where is it? So somewhere in this range. So this is where I went for it, seeing how all of the markets were pretty much performing above expectations. My stop is at 163. You can go it another way. You can place your stop at 165 or 165.5 based on the intraday time frame. I myself, I'm going to stick with the daily time frame here for the time being. Also, the weekly doesn't look that bad. If this is the low, the stop still is pretty valid at 163. But I wanted to trade it a bit more aggressively. Perhaps I will end up regretting it, but for the time being, it still looks good. Carr and Perry. These were two of the setups I've given you today over the social networks, so via Facebook and Instagram, just as it happened. Carr and Perry. Carr stands for Avis Budget Group, and Perry for Perion Network. So you see it here clearly. Carr wanted to break out today, close with plus 7% in plus. It was lacking in volume, so I am a bit afraid tomorrow it's going to be denied as a whole, and tomorrow we are going to start going down again. I went into the trade pretty early, so I went into the trade at the time of this small pullback here to the breakout line. And I was so as you can see, this was pretty early on in the day, so I was hoping for a bit more volume. It didn't come, but I decided to let it be in for the time being. So it looks good. It's a valid breakout. It just lacks volume. If I don't know exactly where my stop is. My stop should come here at 252 or something, or 253, or it could come here. The most aggressive stop would be 265, but I think I opted for an intraday stop, and I think my stop is 264. I think I'm not sure. 263. I'm not sure of it. I must check it. So gold, I've already talked about gold. Perry is also one of the latest additions. Also looking pretty good, just like in Apple. I went long above, as we went above yesterday's high here, and the stop is beneath yesterday's low. I think it's 23.2 or 23. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere there. Last but not least, SRLP. After 2 down days here, failed breakout, managed to gain some strength, but I think pretty much this setup hangs. So depends in its entirely on the developments in the oil sector. If the oil continues to show weakness, then SRLP is going to fail. I'm still very happy with this trade, even though we don't have much volume. We had a bit more today than we usually have. So even with this lacking volume, I'm still pretty happy with this trade. It's enough. I think now it's 1 in 11. 1 in 11, I think. So risk-reward ratio of 1 to 11. This would mean I just have to get it right one time out of 11, and I'm still not losing money. Get it right 2 times out of 11, I'm winning. So for me, it's a logical risk here, and take it or lose it, it's still a very, very small risk. The one position I closed is BBO. I wanted to go short yesterday, but seeing how the S&P 500 opened today, I closed the position pretty early on. With I had some remorse closing it, but as I've seen it reached 6% at one point, then I was happy at it. So I didn't lose any money on this trade. I think I ended with plus minus 0 or minus $20. Something like this, I don't know. So overall plus minus 0, and good that I closed this trade. Yeah. The alternative would have been to let it go to 12.6, 12.7. But if the market is going to turn, I don't want to be on the wrong side of it. Okay. This is all for the first 2 parts of the video. Don't forget to visit stock-tip.com and to subscribe for more free setups like Perry and Car, which you got today. This was the surprise for this week. Hopefully it's a nice surprise, and hopefully it develops into a nice trade. Otherwise, I might find some new surprises for you. Now I'm going to continue with the last part of the video, the top setups I've chosen for you.